Welcome back to the Carry Handle Podcast. My name is Bryce, and with me is always, as always, not as always is Kevin. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Hello.
He was like really deep in thought, looking at the computer. Did I interrupt you? I apologize.
Yes, I was deep in thought. Hello,
Deep
Bryce.
in thought. Excellent. I love to hear it. All right. Before we get too deep into this, I would like to thank friends of the channel. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my wife Hannah for putting all of this together and putting up with our malarkey. I'd also like to thank 19 Charlie Tactical. I'm going to give you some discount codes. They're all friend of the channel. We don't get any kickbacks. They're all just really cool people. So 19 Charlie Tactical, Mike over there set you up right. Gunsmithing, Kydex holsters, thousands of dropship, gun parts, accessories, tools, and firearms. If you have a G3, if you have an AK, if you just have something that generally needs to be unfucked, he can set you up. And that's going to be the Carry Handle 10 for 10% off. Again, friend of the channel, great guy. He actually put this together because I didn't have one before, the little ad read thing. Next up, we have another person we've had on the podcast. Hammy 3D prints thousands of products for firearm storage and other fun stuff. If you need condoms for your CMMG 22 conversion bolt, got stuff for that. Mag wells, kill flashes, gun mounts, all kinds of stuff. If you can think it up, he's got it. Literally thousands of things. Last and certainly, I got to give you the code. Carry Handle 10. It's 10%, my bad. Last and certainly not least, Eastern Shore Sling Company. Actually, first company that gave us a discount code. Is Carry Handle, or is just the Carry Handle, or just Carry Handle. Sorry, it's been a long day. So Eastern Shore Sling Company, handmade rifle slings and custom sewing, dog leashes too. I say it every episode. Kevin and I have their Rhodesian 550 loop slings, and we love them. Got to support the Maryland boys. So without further ado, we have Al from American Animal on. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Yeah, how's it going? Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Absolutely. So for people that, I mean, you guys have been all over, I've seen you guys all over YouTube and on my Instagram, everything like that. But for the people that haven't seen or heard of you, can you give us just an introduction?
Yeah, so for a newer company, we've been out just a short period of time as far as actual sales wise. We launched for sales back in May. Prior to that, we were doing a lot of R&D. So we actually got a booth out at SHOT Show for 2 years to do nothing more than just take feedback. So we came up with a very unique handguard design. If you're using weapons mounted lights, lasers, any kind of accessory, we have channels at your 2, 4, 7, and 10 o'clock integrated into the actual handguard itself. And so it's got a cover system. It allows you to basically protect and encapsulate those wires. It's like a real, you know, we designed the handguard actually with that thought and process like in mind, rather than just like coming back to it like as an afterthought. We feel like a lot of companies kind of like, here's our handguard, and we etched it or did some different little engravings on it, and now it's super cool. And really, like, it did do nothing to it. So we actually started with the handguard, kind of made that our niche thing. Went out to SHOT with our idea, and then, like I said, for 2 years we did nothing more than just ask feedback from anybody that would talk to us. So we were very lucky. We had some of the special operations guys kind of came over and talked to us right off the bat, and they sent all of their friends, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And kind of the feedback we got from them was, hey, listen, do what we're asking you and you'll have something here. And so the first year, that's all we did. We just took notes and said, okay, well, if you guys, what do you guys want in the perfect handguard? And we had a lot of things that was already there, but it just needed some refining. So last year we came back with those changes, and did the same thing. Said, hey, we made the changes. What are you guys thinking? And they're like, oh man, this thing's awesome. Like, you're very, very close. It was just very minor things. Like, they wanted us to switch from like an Allen key head on the covers to a Torx T15. Basically, they were looking for stuff that the guys carried in their kit. So all of our covers are T15, so they're anchored down by T15 shouldered bolts, and the Allen key 4mm for our mounting mechanism. Um, Same thing, they carry that in their kit. So it was just very small changes that we made, and then we actually launched for sales at the NRA show in May of last year. So, and then this was our first, just this last shot show was our first shot show where we actually able to take orders and do that. So it was really really cool.
Oh, that's really well. So real quick,
Awesome.
two things. That this was our first shot show officially as well, which is really cool. It's cool that you guys, same time, but also objectively, Torx is a superior fastener, and I am cursed
Yeah.
by Allen wrenches, so I appreciate that on an end user level, just because I
I've
have the tisms.
I've yet to round the Torx off. I've tried.
You could,
Not that I
yeah,
ha-
you can, but
Not that I haven't tried. I've come damn close to it, but
yeah,
I've yet to do it.
but
Yeah, we had that was one of the things that initially early on when we were doing all of our R&D and our testing, um, we took everything very serious. Like, we still take feedback incredibly serious. So like if someone has something to say about it and it makes sense, we're going to change it. Kind of the way we went about it was we gave stuff out to guys and said, "Hey, take this, break it, show us where you broke it, and we'll make it better." And we just continued to listen and modify every time they would come back to us with something. And that was a big one. We did, nobody wants to strip out those bolts in the field, especially.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, and our whole goal was to make it so that if you are in the field, you can operate it very easily, so you can make those field adjustments without having to worry about going back to your armorer's bench or something like that. We wanted the stuff that the guys actually had right in their kit. So
Interesting. Okay, so
Yeah.
when the was the rail first? Did the company come like what? Did you start the company with the express vision of creating that rail, or was the company around to solve problems?
so the company started as a result of me cutting my finger at the range on a zip tie that was sharp. Um,
Okay.
Super
Okay.
irritated. I'm building a very nice rifle. Get done building the rifle. I'm starting to put my accessories on it. And I had a very nice what's considered a very high end rail today. They're very popular. They're one of the biggest rails on the market. One of the biggest companies on the market. And I'm putting my rail on there and I get it all and it looks real nice and I get everything on there. Well, I put my zip ties, get those out because got the cables that look like crap. And so I'm looking at this thing and I'm already irritated because I've got, a roughly $5,000 rifle sitting there with zip ties on it. And I'm like, why am I putting zip ties on this beautiful rifle? And so it just was frustration. And I got done getting everything situated the way I wanted that night. Next day I go to the range and I'm going to sight everything in. I didn't burn down my zip ties. So like I'd cut it off, but didn't burn it all the way down. Like typically you take a little torch to it, burn it down
Yeah.
and gets rid of the sharpness and just kind of
Really
overlooked that. Yeah, exactly. Overlooked it. And literally I think it was in my first mag. I like just grabbed it and just grabbed it the wrong way, slipped my thumb open and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And so for 2 years before that, I had literally went to shot. Went out there, just tried to look for a solution, and we couldn't find anything. My dad and I went out and kind of walked the floor, went online, looked at a bunch of different things, and I mean, they had like these little clips that go on stuff. They're little plastic clips, and then you have like stuff that like goes on the outside of the rail, but it does a couple different things. Like when you add those things, you're adding weight to your rail. You're adding plastic or in some cases metal, but almost all of them rattle free, break, dry rot. Like you have all these different issues, or add like an extreme amount of diameter to your rail. And then they also take up valuable rail space as well. So like your M-lock channels and your M-lock slots are getting taken up. So I started looking at it and I'm like, this is crazy. There's got to be something better, and we couldn't find anything better. So that's when I went back and said, all right, well, we gotta figure out a way to get these cables integrated. And so after a lot of like trial and error, we came up with the channel system.
Interesting. So
I
in
like
terms
that.
of the cable management, I mean, obviously being at the forefront, what
Right.
things were being what specifically are you hearing back that these specifically like address, other than things just not looking pretty? I mean, just what
Well, I
what
mean,
what are you hearing back from people that are using these?
Well, I mean, like, so think about it. Like, one of the things that is a very big concern is like guys when they're under nods, right? You got your IR laser, you got your pressure switch. I mean, there's tons of guys right now that are running flashlights and lasers with no pressure switch at all, for the strict fact that there was no good way to mount the cables. And because,
Mhm.
it's like anything, like if you start running through the brush, or even like say you're breaching a door and you get a shard that comes off the side of that door, and now as you're going through, it catches your cable. And now your IR laser doesn't work, your light doesn't work. Um, all your all your stuff goes down. So your mission success rate just plummeted. When you can't, aim under nods, that's a major issue. And so a lot of the guys were telling us, hey, listen, like even for the law enforcement side of things, hey, we're grabbing the rifle out of the patrol car. Um, you've got someone that's running on foot or something like that, so they're in a hurry, they're trying to grab that out. As they're grabbing it out, it gets snagged on something, rips that wire out. Well, now it's a problem. Now they don't have a flashlight, now they don't have a laser. Um, so we heard this over and over and over again from pretty much everybody we talked to.
Mhm.
It's a major problem. So that was one of the things that, I mean, even now, like, we were talking to a company this year and they were talking about going to a wireless system. And wireless sounds great, but the problem with wireless is you're emitting a signal. So whether it's Bluetooth or it doesn't matter what frequency that signal is, it can
Mhm.
be picked up. And so one of the guys that had that wireless system was like, "Well, yeah, but it's like a needle in a haystack." And I was like, "Well, no." I'm like, "It's knowing that the needle is in the haystack." I'm like,
Right.
the moment.
You don't want to take that chance of someone.
Right. And the moment that signal goes up, you just lost the element of surprise. So wires are here to stay, but it was like, how do you figure out how to protect them? And so that was, our thing. We wanted to route them, protect them. And so, yeah, it definitely makes your rifle look slick and clean. But at the end of the day, the whole purpose was to make sure that everything was secured, nice and tidy and neat. And so that, protect those as much as possible.
Okay. So, in terms of you talked about things not rattling free on the rifle. So, how are these affixed in such a way that they don't come out? Because I've had M-lock sections rattle out of my rifle, and I don't shoot full auto or any crazy like uh,
Well,
firing schedule.
yeah, so that was another issue.
That's a
Like,
great
okay,
question.
if we put it in the M lock slot, right, and now we try to, hook it down. And M lock's a great system. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they were brilliant. I think Magpul was brilliant in releasing that, for free. Licensing that technology out to everyone. It created a whole user market around that. And so when we looked at it, we were like, "Huh," I'm like, "That's a great idea." So we're doing some similar things with our channel system, but um, the way our system works is when you slide it, so you have a reverse dovetail channel and you have covers that slide into that reverse dovetail, so they slide in from the front. So as you have two bolts, like we talked about, they have T15 head and they're a shouldered bolt. So in the center of that bolt there's like a little dimple that sticks in, and so what we have on the rail, there's little holes. And so as you slide that rail all the way into the slot, you can basically tighten those bolts down and they seat in those holes. And so under vibration testing, things like that, nothing's ever going to rattle free on you. And we tested that without having even Loctite or anything on them, just kind of just hand tight. Once they're flush, they're good to go. But we do recommend, if you do put just a little drop of blue Loctite on them, that's kind of how I run it. Like I get everything set up, I put them in there, I put a little drop of blue Loctite, tighten them down. It's kind of set it and forget it. Like you're not having to mess with it all the time. The other thing that's nice is when you have the actual wires in that channel, the way we made the actual covers themselves, that's a pretty snug fit, and that was by design. So um, the wires are never going to touch your gas block. They're never going to touch your barrel because you have these brackets that go down the rail. So I mean, if you go and check out our website or check out any of the videos, you can see all that stuff. Um, but what happens is once you put those wires in and you tighten down the covers, once the wires are in there, they actually almost make everything even more snug. So it, like there's never a rattle. You're not going to get any of that. That was one of the initial testing things. When we first did it, we had like these pressure fit screws that we had made, so it would pressure fit in, and we only had one screw on each cover. And with testing, we found that yeah, after a while, once they would heat up, like get real hot, those covers would start to rattle a little bit, and so that was a problem. We couldn't have that making noise and stuff like that. So we went back, added a secondary, point of contact with the rail, added the holes, added the shoulder bolts, and made the system what we feel is bomb proof. So that was kind of how we did that testing.
Well, okay.
Okay.
Well, so in terms of like, I guess adaptability, are you going to be incorporating any other kind of mounts into that channel section as well? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. So when you buy a rail, it comes with one wire management cover, and it also comes with an M-lock cover. So the M-lock cover basically allows you to mount any M-lock compatible accessory at any one of those 45-degree offsets. So, and that cover itself also has little wire holes cut in it as well at the bottom. So you can like, so say like you want to mount a pressure switch at a 45 or like backup irons, a holographic sight, any of that on the front of your rail, you can mount any of that stuff. So that was kind of like our initial, our initial idea was those two. So you get one M-lock and you get one wire cover that comes with it. But then as we started looking at it, we had one of the there was a Delta guy that had come to SHOT Show booth and said, "Hey," he's like, "we're constantly banging our ARCA rails off of barricades," and he's like, once the things gets banged up, well, now it doesn't slide into our ARCA, mounts. Is there any way you can make us an ARCA adapter that slides into the bottom of this rail? And so we did. So we made them. So we have a slide in, slide out ARCA. It cantilevers under, so you can get it like dead center underneath the back of the handguard.
Wow.
that's
Yeah,
cool. I like that.
yeah, yeah. Or you can turn it around and it cantilevers out. So on a bipod, you got it supporting, much further out. So we did that, and taking it one step further, like I said, going back to M-lock. And Magpul, we thought Magpul was brilliant what they did, so we're going to do the same exact thing. We have those covers. So we have the IP on the actual covers, the dovetail channels, and then our lockup mechanism. But what we're going to do is we're going to license out for free anyone that wants to make accessories for those channel systems to do that. And
Wow,
so
that's really cool.
That'll help definitely furnish the community for it.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
hoping so. Yeah, I mean, if we can create like a whole kind of accessory a bunch of accessories,
System. Yeah.
right? Yeah, that go around our platform. It's just better all around for everybody.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of some different things like you can either affix it with having those two holes, or like for instance, like our ARCA mount, that pressure fits. So the way that works is you have two basically they're like slides that go into the bottom channel, and they tighten against, and so as they tighten, they pull against the channel system, but they also pull in, and so it's a pressure fit. So you can literally tighten that down anywhere on the rail. So you can have it either forward or back in the middle. Like you're not beholden to any one slot. Like so it basically gives you micro adjustment on that rail system. And so there's a lot of unique ways, and I think as people look at it, they'll come up with different stuff. Like there's a flashlight manufacturer right now that's talking about making their housing that'll actually slide into our channel.
That'd be cool.
Wow. That'd
be
be
really
that would be cool.
Yeah, and like a
Airsoft
pressure.
needs to come out with like a Scout adapter. That would be
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah, or even like we kind of went to a couple of the companies and said, "Hey, why don't you guys make a pressure switch that slides into our channels?"
Exactly.
So it just makes it nice and easy and clean. Everything's much more streamlined then, and you're not worried about stuff rattling loose. You're not worried about it not fitting. It's and you can, like I said, you can adjust anywhere you want in that rail system. So I'm really excited for what's to come. We're just kind of going back and forth with a bunch of different manufacturers right now and trying to figure out what makes sense. But yeah, that's all for free. So if someone listening to this podcast has an idea, go for it. Make something. This would be great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so my real quick question coming from me mostly, are you guys going to be doing anything with like the index pens? I know Sons of Liberty has like the dual index pens, and Centurion has like the single pens for the receivers in terms of anti-rotation. I know you guys have tabs, but has that been anything that you guys have talked about?
We definitely have talked about it. We're working on a special project with another company right now, and they use some indexing pins, and so we've talked to them. That's on a 9 PCC that we're doing, but we haven't done it for the AR platform yet. I mean, you can index it, like if you want to put if you want to put a pin in, if your upper receiver has the ability to have a pin, you can do that. And we do have ours will index on one. But we felt that the way we did our anti-rotation tabs, I mean, basically you're within 2,000ths of a mil spec upper.
Okay.
And you got 4 of them. So when you slide that on, that was a really big thing that, that was huge. Like that was something that all the guys that we were dealing with were like, hey, listen, we got to have anti-rotation tabs. And, the closer to a mil spec upper you can make them, the better. And so we're within 2,000. So I mean, it's pretty tight. So when you put it back on there, you're pretty much back on paper as soon as you put that on there, as far as, 0. So, but no, we haven't done the indexing yet. There are some things that we're looking at. We started building our own rifles. And so as we started doing that, we started thinking, okay, well, maybe we'll incorporate some of that into our own rifle system and our uppers and lowers that we're doing. So we're playing around with it. We just haven't done it yet.
So, well, bearing the lead here, you're gonna start
Wow.
and producing your own rifles, huh?
Hello,
Yeah.
rifles.
Just
Yeah.
blazes right over that.
Yeah, no. So, the rifles are big. So, we launched in partnership with Craddock Precision. So Paul Craddock, it was we got introduced by one of the members of the Marine Corps shooting team. He had reached out and had asked me for a steel barrel nut of all things. And, I said, sure, I'll get you a steel barrel nut. And he was very happy that, I was willing to listen to what they had asked for. And he's, asked me, he's like, do you know Paul Craddock? And I said, I know Craddock Precision, but I don't know Paul. And he's like, well, you're about to. And he's like, you guys, he's like, you make a really nasty handguard. And he's like, and they make one of what they feel is one of the best barrels on the market, if not the best. And so, a few minutes later, I got a text message where I was copied in, and it was like, hey, you guys should talk and build a rifle together. And so, so that was
That's
April of last.
Partnership.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was April of last year. So Paul drove down to the NRA show, and we met. Had a really good meeting, and there were some things that we agreed upon that were going on in the industry that we both liked and didn't like. And so we felt that we could do some things to really make some waves. And so we started working on our rifle, and we actually launched the rifle at Constellus in September. And that was really cool. It was a very neat event. And we thought it was very successful. I mean, our booth was packed all day. We had everyone that shot the rifles was, very impressed. So, I mean, they're incredibly accurate. You have a very short dwell time, super low recoil impulse. So, I mean, pretty much everyone that shoots it just turns around and smiles and is like, how is this thing that smooth?
Yep.
And
That's what you want.
yeah, I mean, and that's a tribute to Paul. He's a genius with that stuff. So, so we're running some different gas systems. We're doing some things with our gas that nobody else that we know in the industry is doing. And we're not using an adjustable gas block. We don't think that that's necessary. If the front of your rifle is tuned properly, it will run suppressed, unsuppressed. It will run, any grain bullet. And you're not going to have to mess around with that stuff. And I don't care. People are like, well, what if it's cold out? And what if it's hot out? Well, get your rifle tuned right and it'll run them both. And so we do that from factory for you. And we're able to do that without running anything special on the back end. So, our rifles, we're super excited about our rifles. we've put them in the hands of quite a few people that know what they're doing, and we have yet to have a complaint. And the complaint we're getting right now is we're just trying to figure out how to get them out fast enough. So,
That was my
um,
It's a good.
availability.
That's
That
a
was the
good
next.
problem to have.
That is a good problem to
yeah,
have.
yeah. So everything we have right now is kind of has been going out for T&E, been going out to law enforcement, military, and so um, we're excited. Like we launched actually at the Shot Show to start getting dealers and getting things set up for the civilian market, and we're very very close. I'm actually like the final thing we're working on right now is the packaging. So the rifle's ready to go. It's just literally the packaging. So once that's done and we feel like we'll have that all squared away here in the next few weeks, we're hoping for to be shipping rifles mid-March. So that's kind of the goal right now. Very excited about it.
That's pretty cool. So are they just is it just going to be 5.56 standard, or are you guys getting 6 arc or anything like that?
Yeah, so we have 5.56. So we have four base rifles. So we have our, and we call it our precision, our PFR 15 lineup. So it's our precision fighting rifles. And so of those PFR 15s, we have two CQB, and we have two what we call modern recce rifles. So both of them are offered in 5.56 and 6 arc. Our 5.56, they're just absolute workhorses. They're tack drivers. You're going to get that perfect 3 o'clock ejection all day long. Same thing with our 6 arc. The nice thing about the 6 arc is, from what we're hearing from a lot of the guys in the special ops community, is that cartridge is here to stay. It's not going, there was a lot of question on whether or not, they were going to move away from it or they were going to stay. And that's definitely here to stay.
Kind of did that with
So
6.5 Creedmoor too, but once that
they
kind of got ingrained, it was just
Traction.
off to the
Yeah.
races.
right. And yeah, and then they're really doing a lot with that right now as well. So so we kind of went in heavy on the 6 arc. Paul had been instrumental in developing helping develop some of the ammunitions that were going out, or working. I shouldn't say he didn't develop it. He worked with a lot of the ammunition companies to develop the cartridges that were going out. So we kind of had a little bit of a heads up on that. And obviously, his barrels doing what they do. Our modern recce at 15.1 inches, suppressed with an Allen Engineering suppressor, is holding half MOA at 1,000 meters.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah, it's
it's a
pretty cool.
nasty. Yeah, it's a nasty rifle.
Yeah.
So and like I said, going back to that gas system, um, one of the things that we've gotten over and over again when people have shot it, they're like, "Man, this thing, your 6 arc shoots like a 5.56, and your 5.56 is shooting basically similar to a 22." So, I mean, they're fun. They're very very fun, and they're super reliable. I mean, we've got thousands and thousands of rounds through them, and if you look at the actual ejection ports, there's not a mark on them. They're coming straight out. So. We're working on some stuff right now with the bolt carrier group. Obviously, 6 arc can be pretty nasty on the bolts, and the interface, and so we've done some stuff to make some things proprietary, that we're working on right now. We'll have that in testing here in the next couple of weeks. But what we're running right now, I mean, it's just they're lights out all the way around. So,
Have you guys played
Awesome.
around with like the iCar pattern at all?
I have not. I can't speak to what Paul's done, but no, I have not. Um,
Okay. Because
so
I know that was supposed to ameliorate some of the, specifically with the magazines and being able to use
okay.
bigger profile bolts and barrel extensions specific
Mm.
to 6 arc.
Yeah, so one of the things that we found, going back to that is, we kept hearing from a lot of the different people that were running these at different groups and stuff like that, is they're having problems getting them to run and cycle efficiently, especially under full auto. So Paul
Interesting.
Yeah, Paul had figured some things out early on before that even became a thing. And so ours will do that. Ours will run full auto and it'll cycle and we have no problems. And it's not due to the mag. It's not due to your barrel. There's just, we figured it out. We're not telling anybody how we did it, but
It's
Uh,
totally
it-
fair.
yeah,
Do
I mean,
you
you can.
do you
It's
guys
the
have like a
secret sauce.
recommended? Yeah, the secret sauce. Do you guys have like a
Yeah.
recommended magazine manufacturer that you prefer over others, or is it
Ye-
just
Yeah, I mean, right now we've had great luck with Thrill. Thrill's fantastic. They got a new 6 arc mag, and their 6 arc mag has a window in the back. They patented it, so it's actual steel mag, but it's got a window. Um,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's super kick ass. Thrill's doing some really cool things. We run their furniture on our rifles as well. So, they're doing some really, really neat things. And they're an up and coming company for sure, but their mags are awesome. I think they're just getting ready to like be able to start sending them out. So we were involved in some of the earlier prototypes with their stuff. Um, Beyond them, ASC, they
okay?
also they're a good mag. And those are the two that I would highly recommend. So,
Okay,
yeah, especially for 6 arc.
yeah,
I think that's kind of the way you want to go. So,
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I know for that. That's one of those things because it seems like the cartridge has outpaced the rifles that are shooting them. Like
Hmm.
trying
right.
to efficiently feed that is seems to be, or at least initially when it first came out, it was kind of a problem because Hornady was like, "Well, here's the cartridge, figure it out."
Yeah, it's kind
Right.
of
Yeah.
the bottleneck.
But yeah, and that was one of the things that Thrill tackled right off the bat. And they didn't try and say, oh hey, we're gonna make a mag that fits a 6.5 Grendel, a 6 arc and everything else. They're like, no, we're making a dedicated 6 arc mag.
Right.
And those guys have, I would venture to say, I know they have tens of thousands of rounds. I'd probably say they probably got hundreds of thousands of rounds through these things, based on just us and some of the other manufacturers that they sent them out to early and on to do prototyping and make sure that prototype testing. And so yeah, we've been very very happy with those mags. They're great.
Well, so in terms of how you're hearing guys using 6 arc, does it sound like they're trying to kind of just as a quick aside, fulfill the 5.56 role with a more efficient round, or is it more of a DMR? Like what kind of role is it being pushed into?
I would say it's almost like a hybrid between that. So like they're looking at it like, hey, we can have engagements from point blank range all the way out to 700-800 meters without even having to think twice about it. In a small frame, gas gun. So, you are taking the idea of being able to run, the same mag, the same size mags in your mag pouches and stuff like that. So your loadout's going to be very similar,
Okay.
and yet your efficiency at placing shots on target out to 700-800 meters is heads above what the 5.56 can do. So I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not saying you can't do it with the 5.56. You absolutely can. But you're talking a 70 grain, 77 grain bullet, going down range versus, a 108 ELD from Hornady or something like that. So, that's a nasty little round zipping down,
Yeah.
down range. So, that's kind of what we, we've, and honestly, you can do that with our CQB. Our CQB is an 11.5 inch barrel, and
For
you
six
can
arc.
take, yeah, for 6 arc. Yeah.
So
And you can
what
run that.
I mean, how short can you get? Is that about as short as you can make a 6 arc before it starts doing normal 5.56 stuff? Or
Yeah, I mean,
what?
we don't really want to go any shorter than that. Like 11 and
Yeah.
a half is kind of what we feel is like that sweet spot. And we did that honestly
Yeah.
just to make it like a CQB.
Okay.
We really recommend we and like our 15.1 inch modern recce.
Okay.
I mean, if you really want to,
That is the correct barrel length.
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. If you want to get that full experience, and the full capability out of your 6 arc, that 15.1 is going to do that. And we're, like I said, we're running that with that Ellen Engineering suppressor. So it's an
FES.
overmount suppressor. So when you're putting that on there, you're only picking up maybe 3-4 inches on the overall length of the actual weapon system. And yet you still have that, kind of smaller frame, like I said, AR that's, it's very, easy to wield weapon. So, we're super excited about it. It's doing some really cool things.
I'm
As a
excited about it.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, as a real quick like nerd thing, when we were playing with the rifles and the rails at your booth, I know it's a small thing, but the distance between the can and the rail was just perfect. I mean, it was just it's very aesthetically satisfying or pleasing. So I appreciate that.
That was Paul. Paul is a perfectionist when it comes to that, and so he was like, we were talking. He's like, I'm going to do a 15.1 inch barrel. He's like, and I need you to do a 12.3 125 inch handguard. And
Perfect.
I'm like, you want down to the half thou? And he's like, I want down to the half thou.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, and so we did, and yeah, it is very pleasing to the eye. So
That's X. I love to hear shit like that. That's fucking
yeah,
hilarious.
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
Well,
I
so
love.
does a six arc supplant like an SR-25 or like a M110A1 or something like that in your mind? I mean, in terms of the things it's going to do.
I think so. Yes, yeah.
Wow.
I
Okay.
mean, yeah. I mean, I honestly, I do because, like, think about it. Like, rather than having to carry two different rounds and stuff like that, it's like anything. Like those guys could be in a firefight and ammo starts going low. If you're all carrying the same ammo, yeah, it's kind of nice to be able to throw a mag to
Yeah,
somebody. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's it's likely to happen. So
yeah.
rather than having just one guy with a DMR, now you've got all of you are able to take shots out to that distance. So
So it's just a beefed up IAR effectively then, because that's kind of what the Marines do. It's just everybody has effectively the same round there. I mean, and with the exception
Well,
of what
yeah.
the M28, like the SDMR or whatever the updated one is. I mean, because
yeah,
that's like a four to something.
right. Yeah, I mean it does. It does fill that role. That's what I feel. So
Interesting.
we've been very, uh, I would cautiously optimistic that that's what it's going to do. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, I'm
Agreed.
not trying to speak. I'm not trying to speak for what those groups are doing. So, but I do know that what it's capable of doing is that. So,
Hmm. We've been talking about what that looks like, and if and because I've been trying to get into the cartridge now. Granted, time and my completely erratic thoughts do not help me here, but in terms of where the military is a pretty good indication of where rounds are going, and I mean the
Yeah.
civilian market typically trails behind it, so
right.
it's there's a lot of benefits I see to it, but I mean it does kind of seem like it's being angled to be a more effective in like DMR ish, like
Yeah.
multi-faceted role. It's very
Right.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. You can kind of run it across, and and I don't really know a whole lot about some of the things that are going on with the different ammos that are coming out. That's more Paul would be better to speak to that.
Yeah.
But they are starting to run some of the higher pressure rounds. So, going from 60,000 up to 80,000.
Yeah.
So those rounds are going to be cooking. And
Yeah.
so we're doing some initial testing right now on the barrels, and just seeing how everything handles, and just trying to figure out round counts and stuff like that, because obviously it's like anything, you start putting that kind of pressure behind a round, and it's going to start cooking things a little bit quicker. So,
Yeah.
um,
Actually,
so
on
we're
on that note, in terms of heat mitigation, are you guys running a steel barrel nut or what
That's a good
yeah,
question.
alloy?
yeah. So we are. So we have two different barrel nuts. As far as like our handguards either come with an aluminum barrel nut or a steel barrel nut. And that was kind of the way Paul and I met. Was the whole story behind that was the person from the Marine Corps shooting team that we had talked to had told me. He's like, hey, he calls up, he's like, I need a steel barrel nut. I'm like, all right, cool. And he's like, well, do you make one today? And I'm like, no. And he's like, so you're just gonna make me a steel barrel nut? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, why? I'm like, what do you mean why? That's a trick question, man. I'm like, you just asked me for one, I'll make you one. And he's like, all right, cool. He's like, I like that response. He's like, but every other manufacturer's told me to use what I give them. And I'm like, well, that'd be a pretty arrogant response from me. I'm like, we don't, yeah, I'm like, I'm a 99.9% sure that you're going to outshoot me every day of the week. So, I'm like, it'd be pretty arrogant of me to say no. I said, but do you mind me asking why? And, He's like, absolutely. And so Bartline had done a study, and what they had found is that when you run an aluminum barrel nut on an aluminum upper receiver and you put 100 rounds through it, um, when you put that barrel nut on initially, you're going to put it on at 60 foot-pounds, right? So you can always expect it to come off 10 foot-pounds less. That's just kind of like the calculation, standard calculation. So what they did is they ran 100 rounds through it as fast as they could, got that barrel nut nice and hot. And what they found is some of the barrel nuts on the market, not ours, because ours wasn't part of that test, were coming off at 12 to 15 foot-pounds. So they were like actually getting like super loose. And so we ran that same exact test ourselves because we wanted to see where it came out. We didn't get those same results. Ours came off at 42 foot-pounds. And that was, we had a heat gun, we had a snap-on digital, torque wrench, so we could see exactly what was going on. But still, it was 8 foot-pounds less than what we expected. So we were like, all right, well, there's definitely something here. And so then what we found is if you run steel, and aluminum. So you have your upper receiver that's aluminum, and you have your steel barrel nut. They're going to heat up at different rates. And so because they heat up at different rates, that same effect doesn't happen. It's going to still come off at 50 foot-pounds. So if you're doing anything outside of 600 meters, basically, we've been told that is exactly what you want to use. You want to use steel for anything beyond 600 meters. So like if you're running it on your 300 blackout, aluminum is going to be fine, but all of our rifles across the board come with steel. We haven't ever found anybody that's complained over a couple ounces on a steel barrel nut because it just stiffens that whole rail system up. It's going to stiffen your rail up. It's going to stiffen your, when you're kind of messing around with the barrel, looking for that barrel deflection, you're not going to get that. It makes the rifle, it's just better, honestly. Like you're much better. And we have a very robust barrel nut as well. So, we're very happy with the way it's holding up. So, so to your answer, long-winded answer, but yes, we run steel barrel nuts. Our barrel nuts are stainless steel. They're a 416 stainless steel. And then we either nitride them. We have some other stuff that we can do with them too, but definitely.
In terms of the choice for stainless steel, is that for corrosion, or is that because it's slightly more elastic, or is it machining
So
costs?
What's
the
So
decision
obviously everybody's target market's going after the guys that coming in out of the water, right? So, so the way we looked at it was if I could do anything to add to that corrosion resistance, we were going to do that. So all the hardware on our rail system is stainless. So we use stainless steel barrel nut. We use stainless steel QD mounts. So our QDs are quarter turn. Those are 17-4 stainless. You have some of these guys with their premium hand guards and they're just basically cutting it right into the aluminum. And it's like, okay, well, that's not going to last very long when you got your steel ball bearings and your QD ripping out of it. So, and then even like the hardware, like those Torx, the Torx and the, our cam pin and our cam pin nut, everything is made out of stainless. So, and we did that all by design to make sure that it was more corrosion resistant. So that was kind of our whole thing. And people talk about, a lot of different things with like galvanic reaction and things like that. And people are like, no, that's not a thing. What is a thing? It can happen. So we just wanted to do anything we could to mitigate that. So.
Right. Okay, so now in what you're referring to is things galling together, like metals galling together, or misunderstanding?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Basically everything that we picked on that rifle and that handguard was done for a reason. So, like our handguard, it's a misnomer out there that 7,000 series aluminum is better. And is it more expensive? Yeah. Is it better? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends on what you want your product to do. So, for us, I'd much rather have my handguard bend or dent than crack. And so 7,000 series is much more likely to crack. 6061 is much more likely to bend or dent. So, if I'm, dropping my rifle out of the APV or I drop it out of a helicopter or wherever I drop it from, and it dents, I'm still in the fight. But if I
Right.
drop it and it cracks and my handguard's cracked, well, that's a major problem. So,
That's a
now yeah, there's a good chance you're not going to be in that fight. And so we did everything for a reason. So that's why we use 6000 series. That's why we use 6061, T6 aluminum on our handguard. We run the stainless steel because obviously it's corrosion resistant. And when people are like, well, you could run tool steel, you could run this, you could run that. Eh, If I'm going to spend a few extra bucks, why not make it, top of the line, run stainless? So, and that's where we looked at it. Like we wanted to come up with something that when somebody looked at that handguard, they're like, shit, like there's no way we can improve upon this. Like these guys already thought about it. And
Yeah.
and we're constantly going back and reworking it, every day. So like, if someone says something, hey, did you think about this? Yeah, we're looking at it. And like even the way our handguard attaches to the actual barrel nut. Everything's housed on a cam pin. I don't know if you guys got to see that when you were at the booth, but um, you loosen those two bottom bolts and they drop to a 45 on that
That is the
cam.
coolest, most compelling. I was hoping you would talk
Yep.
about that. That is about the best thing I have ever seen in terms of like an end user putting something on, and let alone design and just being a good design. It's it feels so premium. Like you got some things there, and then you just bolt it. You don't gotta fuck around with spacers and all this shit, and like three-handedly trying to align shit. It's just torque it, slip it on, and then torque down the nuts. I mean that. I'm sorry. That was,
I
I
mean,
realize I stole your thunder there a little bit, but
No,
holy
no,
shit,
no.
yeah, I mean,
I
it
those
love
are
really,
it.
amazing.
Yeah,
it really
yeah,
speaks to like the company model and stuff of listening to people, because oftentimes we have these massive companies out there, and they make something and they say you like it, like they tell us you have to like this because we're whatever company we are. I like your model because you're like, tell us how to improve it, and we will until you like it. And I
right.
think that's
And
gonna bring you guys like way beyond any other company out there for years to come.
I appreciate that. And we really are, I mean, when I say that, we take that incredibly serious. Like that is the foundation of our company is feedback. To the point where like someone had asked me once, they're like, well, what are you going to do if you guys start making all this money and stuff? Like, are we ever going to see you at these shows again? And I like laughed. I was like, I quit the industry that I was in to do this because I love this. I'm like, and I will always be on the front line of this. So like, yeah, you will always see me at those shows. You're always going to see me going out to dealers. Like I'm going to be the guy still walking through the door. Like, will I have other people doing that with me? Yeah, absolutely. But I want to be the way I look at it is like you have some of these companies and there's a lot of really fantastic guys that have started amazing companies in this industry. Um, and they make these amazing products for a while and then all of a sudden it's almost like they get complacent.
Yeah,
And they're
Yeah.
like, we're gonna rest on what we did yesterday, not what we're doing today. And and I think some of that has to do with they get to a point where they're like, oh man, like we're looking at the profit margins and we're looking at we're looking at spreadsheets rather than actually going out to the shows. Like if I get that big, I'll hire a CEO to do that stuff. I don't want to do that shit. Like I want to be out with everybody. I want to it's very hard to know what the pulse of the industry is doing without being involved in it every day. And
that
so,
is lost on so many people.
yeah.
Exactly.
And
That
so we,
the folly of making money turns you complacent. I mean, it's very interesting to watch declines of companies. They lose touch, and then the
yeah,
products start to suffer, and that's
right.
exactly what we've seen.
Yep.
Yeah. And we do not want to be one of those companies. So, I mean, that is literally at the forefront of our, kind of our whole mantra at our country or our company. So, we want to definitely be, we want to be those guys coming up with the cool stuff every year. And I say cool stuff, we want to be cool, useful stuff, like not
Yeah.
like, just like, oh, we made it a different color and like look, oh, it's just this cool color. Oh,
Same
like
Did a
same
thing.
same product, different color. Like, ooh.
right, exactly. Yeah. Like we took our laser and we etch a sketched it. So
Ooh.
I mean like
Oh,
just
topographical.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And I mean, it's fun to do. Like we did it. Like we do kinds of things like that. But at the end of the day, like that's not what our big innovation for the year is going to be. Like, oh man, we put this cool thing on there. Like, no, it's we're actually creating stuff that that has point and purpose. So
Right.
operational point and purpose.
Okay. So past rifles, obviously, because that's most exciting thing. Out of all of this, I think that's the most exciting thing. Are you what are you guys looking for in the future, other than obviously progressing and I guess problem solving? Because it seems to be something you're very open to be doing. What
Yeah.
are you guys working on?
So right now we got a couple of little projects that we're working on the back side of things. So we're doing some we're doing some things like I said, that 9 millimeter PCC market.
Right.
It seems to be a pretty hot market right now. And
Yeah.
we were looking at the MP5 and we're like, all right, well, why are so many people still running that MP5? And you have all these different units around the world still running it, and we're kind of like laughing about it. And then it became not funny because we're like, why? Like,
Still
why are
doing
they?
it.
Yeah,
Because
why are
it's
they doing that?
awesome.
And it is, that system was fantastic for so many years, but we think we got something cooking that's going to be better. It's going to operate very similarly, um, as far as like the smoothness and the recoil and the sound, but yet be modernized for today's war. So so we're doing some things with that, and then down the line here, we've got some things cooking on the backside of stuff that for drone defense tech. So
Nice. Okay.
yeah, so
Nice.
that's a whole separate entity and a whole separate animal. But we're very excited. We got a lot of things that we're kind of like working on in the background, but right now it's just dialing in the rifles that we have today, making sure that everything that we put out is top notch. So let's I'm trying to walk before I run.
Right.
Yeah.
April of last year we didn't even have a rifle, so now we got four. So it's like one of those things where you just and we're doing it on a budget that's way different than some of these larger companies. So we're self-funded. We're not backed by venture capitalists. We're not backed by anything like that. Like this is all us taking the money out of our own pockets and getting this thing off the ground. I believed in this so much to the point that I sold my house and moved home to get this company started. So, it's kind of like put your back against the wall and you got nowhere else to go. So, just
Yep.
kind of one of those things. And that's why when I go to the range, I am very confident that our products will stand up to anybody else that you put next to us. Because if I didn't believe that, there's no way I would have staked my, basically my livelihood and everything else
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the passion that people want to know is behind a company or products. I mean,
It's
that's
refreshing to hear.
yeah,
Appreciate
that's
that.
really compelling. Well,
Appreciate
now
that.
I know we were talking about replacing SR25s, but are you guys like looking into making like a big frame rails at all?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
It's funny
There
because
it
well,
is.
we're getting this question a lot. So we're getting, the two big questions we're getting lately are you going to make one for a 308? And are you going to make one that will allow you to undermount a suppressor? And those are the two that we keep getting over and over and over again. And so, yes, long story short, we will have some things coming out for some of the different systems. So yes, the 308 platform, that AR10 platform. We're also, I would say, probably before that, we have one right now that we're working on for the HK. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so that one was asked about even more because we
The
had a lot of this.
417?
Yeah, so basically a lot of
Interesting.
the overseas special ops groups and stuff like that, and even the M27 that we're using for our Marine Corps,
Yeah.
those guys want to be able to have that cable management system. They want to be able to have that accessory mounting system that we
Yeah.
have,
Makes sense.
and so yeah, so it just kind of made sense for us to go down that road first. If I can get a system out like that and get Quantico looking at it, that'd be fantastic for our company. So,
Yeah.
um, but we've had a lot of, like I said, a lot of requests for that. we had some requests to replace, some of the certain brands on the market, and we've kind of let that go by the wayside for now because we think that those brands may be phasing themselves out. And so, why should we even make something for that when we can phase them out ourselves? So,
Yeah.
so, so we're kind of,
Good
yeah, we're, yeah,
business strategy. I like that.
yeah. So we've got, a little bit of competitiveness there. So yeah, so we're, trying to do some different things. But yeah, you'll be seeing some stuff for the 308. We're hoping later this year for that. Um Same thing, like I said, with the HK platform, we should have something for that later this year as well. And then, obviously I have very strong opinions on undermounting a suppressor. I hate it. I don't like that at all. It's one of my biggest pet peeves on a rifle, and this goes back to the us. We make ours. We call them PFRs for a reason. They're precision fighting rifles. Um, I'm not undermounting any suppressor on any rifle that I'm planning on taking into battle. It's just not going to happen. And the reason being, like, that off chance that you go face first into the mud or dirt or whatever, and you stuff that suppressor full of whatever, and you got to take that thing off. Well, now your muzzle is back underneath your handguard. First time you pull that trigger, it blows the handguard apart. So to me, that's insane. Like, why would you want that? Like, and don't get me wrong. Like, I say, why would you want that? And I have one downstairs. But it literally does nothing more than go to the range. Like, that is never going to be my truck gun. That's never going to be my go to war gun. Like, that is not my shit hit the fan gun, because when shit hits the fan, that thing's gonna fail. And so you have, so I get it, and I understand, people, the suppressors are going crazy right now. I mean, the NFA is just absolutely it's crazy. And so our hands kind of being pushed down that road, but I hate the concept. So
Well, it's interesting. We've seen doing this now that we've doing it for however long. It's interesting to hear kind of like the separation behind what people think they want, and then the manufacturers going, we do this like every day, right? Like, this doesn't make any sense why you want this, like specifically with undermounted barrel or suppressors. We've
right.
talked to at least 4 different companies that are like, okay, this is why it's a bad idea, just mechanically and just thermally, like, this is just not the call. And then you end up, like, even with Troy, they came out with their undermount, like their suppressor handguard. They were like, all right, you people fucking want this thing, we'll put 1913 on the outside and do this weird shit. And it's like, it's almost like it's a bad idea.
Yeah, but you can't
Right.
you can't tell the consumer that. You have to let them just figure it out.
It's like, no, we want this. It's like, you really don't. The customer is not always right. I'm sorry.
Well, they're always
Right.
right in terms of taste.
It's
Right.
Now I'm bitching and moaning about how things look, but I mean, that 15-1 barrel handguard relationship is very pretty. So I guess I'm a hypocrite of my own making.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely, it just, it's, I don't know. It's one of those things that people get, they get it in their head that they want something, and it's like, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to make it that way. So,
Yep.
but so we're, unfortunately, at the end of the day, we have to make what the public wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
You can make a really cool version of it. So that's neat.
And that's what we're doing. That's what we're going to try and figure out. So we're trying to figure out how do we make it so, make it so that the thing is kind of, like I said, bomb proof. And I actually have some ideas for that as well. So,
Nice.
Well,
yeah.
My only request as a consumer is if you could figure out like a scope mount that you could integrate the cable management down for like lambs or like rangefinders, because you want to talk about fucked cable management. Take a look at some of those PRS guns with like fucking Raptors and shit on the top. Like, what is happening?
It's insane. I mean, and they're part of our IP was actually, we put it in there that we could have cable management all the way back on the upper receiver as well. And so we have thought about possibly doing some things like that. And so yeah, I would love to attack the scope mount as well. So that I do see that at some point we will go down that road. I don't know how quickly, but I'm fairly certain that you're going to see something coming out here not too distant future on that as well. So
Nice.
Sweet. I
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff. That's fun.
I
Yeah.
like
That
it.
and the Arca mount. Arca's very cool, but what's not cool is the balance point on ARs. It's always further
Yeah.
back than you can get it. The gooseneck is brilliant.
Yeah, and that was one of the things. Like that was another Paul idea. Paul was like, "Hey, why don't we cantilever this thing back underneath?" And so we did. We just cantilevered it, and so it goes literally dead center. Like if you, oh, let me grab a rail, I'll show you.
Yeah, because we only ever saw the prototype.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't have the I actually don't have one here. I'm at home, so I don't have it, but I should have brought it home with me. Yeah, this will slide. It'll slide right back underneath here, so it's going to sit right underneath.
Nice.
Okay.
And so, yes, I mean, you'll be like dead center underneath that barrel nut.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, right up against the, right up against the receiver. So, as far as it goes, centering it on the rifle, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah. Would you guys ever consider machining that into that section of the rail instead? Like as a later addition or something? Maybe more specifically, I think for like SR25 patterns, because those seem to be on tripods a lot.
So we've been asked to do like a full length Arca on the bottom, especially like you're talking for that, the AR-10 market.
Yeah.
And so we are going to do that. But as far as actually bringing it back underneath,
Yeah.
I really can't with the way our mounting system is. It doesn't really
Right.
allow me to have that in there.
Okay.
But what we can do is we can, like I said, with us having that channel, we can kind of do some things to kind of bring it back under. So,
Nice.
there's some good companies out. There's some good companies out there making some neat stuff. You got Area 419; those guys are making some pretty wild stuff. So I think once they get a look at our handguards, as our handguards start to take hold of the market, I have an idea that those guys are probably going to start messing with some stuff too, and I'm excited for that. So,
Nice.
yeah. So I mean, and that was one of the nice things. Like we're very open. Like we like other good companies that make cool stuff. So like innovative companies. And so like that's why we wanted to be able to license that stuff out to free, because we're not going to think of everything. We're going to think of some cool stuff, but if we can have other companies thinking of like, oh, well, hey, did you guys think about doing that? No, we didn't. Do it and make some
Yeah.
money. Create a
Nice.
user, ecosystem around our stuff, like you said. So, that's definitely what we want to do.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this, Al. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
we're I mean, obviously they can probably figure it out, but for the people that can't figure out where to find you, tell them all the places.
Yeah, so you can check us out online, AmericanAnimalArms.com. That's be the easiest place. I'm admittedly right now, our website is sold out of a lot of things. If you can't find it online, send an email to our info. We're constantly getting restocked and stuff like that. So if you send an email to info it's info at AmericanAnimalArms.com, just letting us know what you're looking for. We put everybody on, basically we have spreadsheets, and we have like a waiting list. And as soon as the things come into stock, we ship them out immediately. So we'll send you an email, say, hey, do you still want this? If you say, yep, then we'll send you a link so you can, pay, and then we send it out to you right away. So right now, obviously, with us being small, it's just been trying to keep up with demand. And so we are getting better at that. We're starting to figure some things out here. But yeah, like I said, if you go on there and you can't, find what you're looking for, don't be shy. Shoot us an email. We're very quick to get back to people, and try and make sure that we, get people what they want. So also check us out at American Animal Arms on Instagram. It's another good one for us. And then I think like our Twitter is like Animal Arms or something like that, or Arms Animal. It's one or the other. Like I forget which one it even is right now, because we were on there and we got blacklisted initially, and so I just literally switched it around. So, but yeah, definitely Instagram is best. Instagram, and obviously our website. So check us out there, and we'll be at future events as well. We'll be at SHOT Show again next year. We're doing we'll be down at the CanCon event coming up here in the spring. We're doing a bunch of different things. We'll be at Constellus again next year. So we're doing some shoots with SOCOM coming up here in March, and some different things. So yeah.
Nice.
we're definitely out there, and
Awesome.
we're happy to come out, and like, if anyone's having a range day and wants us to come, just give us an invite. We're happy to, come set up and let some people shoot our guns.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Well, thank you again for taking the time and coming on and
Yeah,
Yeah, appreciate
absolutely.
giving us the time and to nerd out over some interesting stuff. Really
yeah
appreciate that.
appreciate you guys having us, or having me. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And you know what? I'm proud that we were your first podcast. This has gone lovely.
We see great things in your future.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
I bless thee.
Definitely appreciate that. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much,
Well,
fellas.
thank you again, Al, and we'll definitely have to get you back on to talk about some of the stuff that you guys when you do come out with it. We want to talk to you about it, so we'll have to
Yeah.
get you back on. So,
Absolutely.
well, thank you again, sir, and thank you to the viewers and the listeners. Honestly, couldn't do this stuff without you guys. Best way to help the show and show that you will like us or don't is interacting, leaving comments, leaving reviews on the Apple Podcasts and the Spotify's and
Love
the YouTubes.
love notes and or death threats. We
Yes,
take
all of
both.
them are all accepted. Engagement is engagement, and I'm not picky. So thank you once again to our guest Al. Really, really looking forward to seeing what you guys have coming. So
Appreciate
all
that.
right.
Thank you.
But yeah.
I'm gonna find the outro here.
Roll the
and
outro.
I'll roll
Roll
the
the
outro. Thanks,
outro.
guys.
Roll the outro.